Hey guys, welcome back to Crushing It with Kitchen Remodeling Contractors. I'm your host, Mike Goldstein, and today we got a killer episode for you. We're chatting with Jonathan Bannister from We Build Your Team, and trust me, you are going to want to hear this. If you're running a kitchen remodeling or cabinetry biz and you are swamped with work, we're diving into how to find the perfect virtual assistant to lighten the load. We're talking skills, we're talking budget, the whole 9 yards. Plus, we're going to get into some legal stuff you should know and how to keep the VA relationship solid for the long haul. So hit that like and subscribe button and let's get the show on the road. We are going to do all of that, guys, just after this. Hey, Jonathan, how are you today?
Good, Mike. How you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm so glad you were able to take out some time and talk with us today. Jonathan, I've known you for a little bit here, and I know what you're all about. But for those people who don't know you, who haven't heard of you, and by the way, shame on you all if you don't. But for those of you who don't, who the heck are you? What is it that you do?
Yeah. So thanks again for having me here, Mike. So yeah, Jonathan Bannister. I'm the founder and CEO of a few companies. I'm the host of the Home Service Hustle podcast, and we've got a digital marketing company that's kind of niche down to the plumbing and HVAC industry, and some of our new ventures that Mike's well aware of is we've got into the staffing and recruiting space, and really this just came from us outsourcing so much of our work. It's kind of how I started my agency, I don't know, 9 years ago, going on 10 years this year, and it's just kind of evolved into people needing help finding the right staff for their business. And it's been super exciting for me because I've enjoyed talking to these business owners, these agency owners, whoever it is that needs staff, and hearing their challenges that they've had, because I've been there already. And so trying to help them through that, finding the right team for them. So we've got two office locations, one in the Philippines, one in Bogota, Colombia. The company is called We Build Your Teams, and we're also helping contractors with some outbound calling and some after hours callings and things like that. So, happy to be here, man. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate it, and thanks for kind of shedding a little bit of light on all the different things that you do. So, and I know you got your hands in all kind of places, but for today's purposes, we're going to talk a little bit about how kitchen remodeling companies, cabinet companies, home remodelers, anybody really in the home services, what they can do to improve the efficiency of their staff and to kind of bring that profit margin up a little bit by maybe finding the right virtual assistants to work with. And I know you've spent a lot of time kind of building up the processes to find the right one. You've got that knowledge that so many people really need. So it's great to have you here.
Yeah, I want to find a book here that I have. I don't know if I shared this with you if you've read it, but I keep it with me because every time I'm on the plane, I'll just go back and reread it. But this book here by Dan Martell, it's called Buy Back Your Time. And I will say if you're a small business owner and especially in the home service space, everyone should read this book, and you should understand what your buyback rate is. And I missed out on years of my life that I'll never get back by managing my calendar and managing my emails. And I really let my emails, and I think a lot of business owners can relate here, I let things dictate my days that I should have never allowed. Because I've got a plan, I've got my calendar set up, but then I wake up in the morning, I check my email, and there's a couple, things on fire. Clients have sent some things or whatever, and I'm now responding or jumping in the middle of this, and now I'm moving things around based on that. But I should have never seen those emails to begin with, because there should be. Dan talks about if you're a business owner, the very first thing you should always have is a VA, and that person should manage your email, manage your calendar. So now, I've got a system set up to where I have 2 times a day that I have blocked off that I go and check certain folders in my email. And now, as my, she's here in the U.S., but, we obviously train for this position for other companies around the country. And, just getting that out of your life and understanding what your buyback rate is, will help you understand what you're missing in your business, right? Like, is it a social media person? Like, are you the one posting on your social media accounts, or are you, are you coming up with strategies and ideas? Like, you have to figure out what you need to be doing in your business to take it to that next level. And if you're constantly doing things that are outside of your buyback rate, then you need to go and find that position, train that position, and move on. And that's the only way that you're going to be able to elevate yourself, is to, as an EOS, they say delegate, elevate. But, you got to understand, when is it time to delegate? When is it time to get that position in place? And a lot of people are like, I don't need to hire that position because I can just do it. We could all do it. We could wear every single hat in our business forever. But is that going to allow you to continue to build more relationships and grow your business and take it to that next level if you're constantly wearing all these other hats? And the answer is no. I'm telling you it's no, because we've scaled over the last 10 years our companies, and there's no telling where they would be at today if I would have kept myself out of a lot of these little small day-to-day things that were outside of my buyback rate and focused on the relationships and things that were going to move our business forward.
Well, that's great. It's funny you mentioned that, just because I actually had mentioned that book to about 3 people already this week alone. And so many of us, we just don't get it. We think that we need to control everything. We need to have our eyes on everything. And by doing that, what you end up not being able to do what really makes the most sense. What's the most important? I like to say you should be doing $300 an hour work as an owner, not $3 an hour work as an owner.
Yeah.
With that said, let me ask this. So a lot of our listeners, like I said, they're kitchen remodelers, they're cabinet companies, people like that. If you're looking to bring on a virtual assistant, why would you do that? What are the things that somebody in a local service, home service type of business like that could use a VA for? And what do you look for when you want to find that person?
Yeah, we use the VA term very strategically at our company. And then, when we're interviewing people for We Build Your Teams, we really want to know exactly what are they looking for, because some people want to find a staff member that can do everything. And again, if that's the place in your business you're in, that you need this person to do a little bit of bookkeeping and do a little bit of admin work and a little bit of this, that's fine if that's the place that you're at. But understand, as you continue to build and really shine your processes up, you're going to need dedicated staff for those positions, right? You don't want, Mary Jane and John doing all these things in your business, because it's always going to be chaotic. There's never going to be any systems to it. So there's going to be a lot of pointing fingers, right? Well, if she's supposed to do it, no, he's supposed to do it. So, but if you're to that place, great. Get you a quote unquote VA, but make sure that you have very dedicated, processes for them to work on. Like what is it that you need them to do? And it's not like, I need you to work on all this stuff every day. It needs to be more like, really from 8 to 10, I want you to work on this. And I need a report back on it. I need to see what was done, what wasn't, you were able to get to. From 10 to 12, let's do this. That's how, people are going to work much better, especially when they're wired to be a virtual assistant. More of like they're not to a full-blown project manager training level yet, but their brains are wired for it, right? So when we give assessments to look for either a VA or a project manager, we want to make sure they're high follow through. They're really focused people that know how to get tasks done and won't get sidetracked. Because that's me. I am all over the place, and because I'm always thinking of what else can we go do to bring in new business and build new relationships. So I am good at starting projects. I'm horrible at finishing projects, and that's why I surround myself with people that are high follow through. So so some of the things Mike, that they can do would be looking over bookkeeping, itemizing, end of the month task and things like that. There's a lot of things they can do. I would say really trying to define what is it that you're missing in your business. And so like when we look at it from a very dedicated position right now, we go, okay, if you need a VA, I think the VA should be attached to the owner, and the owner should have that person managing their calendars, managing their email, and doing any kind of admin stuff that buys back time for that owner. Like that's what you're looking for. And, do a time audit, right? Like if you're the business owner and Dan Martell tells you exactly how to do a time audit and build out what your time is worth and what you need to take off your plate. But just kind of look at your calendar for the last 2 weeks and write down exactly everything that you did for the day, right? And then from this point forward for the next week, write down every little single thing you did. Like if you got pulled away from something to go do this and do that, write it down and put those times down. And then what you want to look at is, what can I bring this VA in for that can eliminate some of this so that I can focus on the things that are going to be more valuable for my business? More revenue, get paid more, build more relationships. Like if it's more valuable, like if you as a business owner say, man, I know that referrals are super important for my business. And I know that if I could go around to the kitchen and the remodeling jobs that are big, ticket items, and I could go to that homeowner personally as the owner to shake their hands, to give them this gift, to say thank you, to see if they want to introduce them to the neighbors and go get the neighbor to come look at the new remodeling job. If you think that would be valuable for you, but you go, I don't have enough time to do that. I'm busy doing this, this, and this. Find someone that can help you do that, because if those are the things that are going to be super impactful to the future of your business, you got to get out there and do it. And if you can't do it as the business owner, then your manager or somebody on your team should be shaking those people's hands and giving them the gift and talking to the neighbors, right? So you got to find the things that are going to bring you the most valuable and, bring your business the most value. And you need to find someone that can step in and take some of this off your plate.
No, that's great. And I mean, I'm sold, guys. I hope you are too. That the need to buy back your time, the need to have a virtual assistant help you, with the little things that you shouldn't be doing. Some things as simple as, hey, someone should be reading my emails for me and only showing me the stuff that's important. But once you realize that you need that, can you walk us through really what's the process for vetting and placing a VA? Like how do you go about figuring out who it is that I want to talk to and who I don't want to talk to?
Like as far as in your emails?
Well, no. I mean, as far as, so if I'm a kitchen remodeler and if I own a cabinet store and I want to bring in a VA who's going to help be a marketing assistant, or I want to bring in a VA who's going to screen my emails. It's going to almost be a personal assistant type of person to make me more efficient. What's the vetting process? How do we go about it?
Yeah, great question. The process with us is we are going to find, we're going to interview you. We use video software where the process with us is once you kind of fill out our initial form of what you're looking for, you're going to get an email that starts a video process. So we're going to, kind of say, hey, we just want to ask you a couple questions, because we want to know exactly. You say you need, a marketing assistant, but then we come to find out you need this person to do 10 different positions. And it's like, we just need to understand, can we find one person that can do all this? Because, I think setting those expectations both ways are super important for any relationship. But I would say the process starts where we're going to figure out exactly who you're looking for. And our team has just really gotten amazing at this as far as the recruiting, the assessments, the interviews. And what we typically do is we narrow it down to usually 2 to 4 candidates. And then we let the business owner do interviews. We schedule interviews and we let them talk to the candidates. And we share with them, some of the interview questions we asked, how the assessment test went. And we say, here's why we brought you these people. But at the end of the day, ultimately, you need to see who are you going to communicate best with and who are you going to have, that nice flow with, because this is going to be, an extension of you, right? I mean, this person is going to be attached to you inside some of your personal stuff, possibly responding to emails, maybe even getting on phone calls, for you and stuff, right? So you need to make sure that this person is someone that you feel comfortable representing you and your business.
What you're talking about kind of reminds me of when I'm thinking about our EOS process. Mm-hmm. And we're talking about our core values. Everything in EOS, and we've talked a lot about EOS in this show, is about core values and making sure that those values are shared among your team. Well, I think that's really important, is that you don't just want to work with anybody. You need to make sure that they really align with kind of your thought process too. But with that said, I think the obvious question that comes next with any business owner is, okay, I see I need a VA. I think there's a process that I go about to find them. What is it actually going to cost, and what is it going to save me? because I hate when people say, what is it going to cost? How much does it cost? How much does it cost? Who cares? How much are you going to invest in your business? And that's the question. And how much is that going to buy back your time?
That's right. And that's really what, again, like once you actually go through the buyback process and, in kind of the way it works, I don't remember the exact numbers, but there's a formula that he puts in there, and it's how much money you make. And it's like, how much do you pay yourself? How much do you take out of the business? Like you get this total all-in number. And then there's a formula that you divide it by that where you can figure, okay, this is your buyback number. And what it comes down to is it says anything under that amount that is an hourly rate. So if your hourly rate ends up being $150 an hour, there's not one job ever in the future of your business that you should be doing any task that is under that amount, because that's where you need to find a dedicated person that can do it for you, because you have a value, you have what your time is worth, and you could be making more at that hourly rate by doing things that's going to help you grow your business. Whether that's getting more customers, closing more deals, shaking hands and kissing babies, whatever that may be. But you have to figure out what that number is, and you don't need to be working on tasks that are under that amount. So I think, the process should be, what is that amount? And then what can you afford, or what can you not afford not to pay? But I would say, on average, the VAs that we're staffing for companies, they range anywhere from, $2,500 to $4,000. It really just, it's based on, how skilled they are. Are they an actual project manager? What roles are you going to want them to be doing? We have some people say, look, I need them to kind of help add some things to my website, some updates here and there. I need them to, make some phone calls to some customer. It's like, so depending on how many things you're going to be doing, and it may come down to where we feel that this is probably a role for 2 people, but we can train the person, but we're going to have to, spend a little time ourselves internally training this person on exactly what you need done, because that's the other part of what we do is we make sure that based on everything you need this person to do, that either you provide us the step-by-step, training module. If it's something like in our world that we know how to train them on, right? Some kind of automation, some kind of phone sequence or something, then we will train them for you, because we want them to be able to start the first day and go in and do their job work. And that way you're not having to take time to work with them on the phone, on Zoom, and train them and this and that. So I would say, if you're looking just for a VA that is high follow through, that can work 40 hours and take a lot off of your plate, you're looking anywhere from 2,500 to 4,000.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, one of the other things I think really comes into play is this VA, is this person going to be client facing? Are they going to be internal? And the reason I bring that up is there's always the question, local versus international, overseas versus North American. What is it? How do you make that kind of determination? What are the pros and cons really of bringing somebody or getting some work with someone overseas versus working with somebody, in the U.S. or in Canada?
Mike, look, for me, I can speak from, tremendous experience here, so in our marketing agency, we were the first, from the day one. So back in 2014, I think it was day one, like I always had international staff. I had a US based web developer, but everyone else was, international. And our sales team and our account management, client facing had always been in the US. And I will tell you that we're making that shift now. Like we just lost a couple of account managers here in the US, and they're the new ones just starting right now, and they're in Bogota, right? Because for us, it's like sales and client facing was US, but man, it's just sometimes really hard to find the hardworking talent that you need here in the US. And I was just talking to my neighbors a little while ago. One's from the Philippines, one's from Mexico, and they know the companies that I have. And we were just having this conversation and just saying, like, My head of SEO is in Canada. My head of paid ads is in Colombia. My director of fulfillment is in Indonesia. I am now going globally and looking for the best talent that I can find. And unfortunately, when we do all the assessments, we do all of the interview process, we just find that the US people start like weeding themselves out just organically. They just don't want to work at the same caliber. They're just, not as appreciative as they used to be. I think COVID really working from home and just all of this, pampering has really changed the workforce. So, I know that's a topic. Like, I want everybody to be US based only. It's like, I get it, right? I get the mindset there, but at the end of the day, my clients and your clients, Mike, what they want is to be supported and taken care of. And, if we have to find that right person and that right person works somewhere else in the world, but they're going to support your customers, that's all we can ask for.
Absolutely. And you hit on something that's really interesting, something that I've been saying for the last two years or so since the pandemic. What is COVID? COVID was horrible, right? It's a world catastrophe. People are dying left and right. But the one good thing that I took out of all of that misery was it taught me that you don't need to work with the person closest to you. You need to work with the person best for you.
Yep.
And what I mean by that is, you can work anywhere in the world at this point, and you can find people anywhere in the world. And if that person is in the Philippines, if that person's in Pakistan, if that person's in, Jamaica, wherever they may be, that's the best person for you. That's what we want to work with. Now, obviously, when it comes to client facing, you've got to be able to speak English. You need to be able to, have minimal accent and all of that, because communication is a big part of it. But a lot of times what you're bringing somebody in to help you is not going to be client facing, and that's really not as important. What's important is, are they going to be able to do the job? And are they going to be able to, make your life a little bit easier and allow you to concentrate on the money, the revenue generating activities rather than the administrative activities?
You're right. You're 100% right. And look, they're all the big global call centers around the world. They're in Costa Rica, they're in Colombia, they're in the Philippines, they're in Pakistan, right? Like AT&T and all these global corporations have these call centers we've all spoken to these people.
Sure.
And that's where I think the disconnect has come. It's like you're frustrated with your AT&T bill, and then you call and you talk to someone that is in another country, and they can't really help you. Well, that's AT&T's broken process, because if they would put someone on the phone that could easily, like when you're that big, like you have so many chiefs and not enough Indians that have the control or the power to be able to make decisions. So it's like, oh, well, I can help you with that. And they have their script that's on their screen, like it's AT&T's fault. It's not where that call center is located, because that person had the power to pull up your account, see exactly what was wrong and make a decision. You wouldn't care where they were located, but they don't have that power. Like it's got to get rerouted to someone in the US that actually has management power to make a decision. And that sucks. And that's their broken process. So I tell you, man, we've had some really special calls in our agency here the last couple months where we've actually been bringing on all of like my staff to the call, my head of SEO, my head of paid ads, my project managers, and they're all spread around. But like when they can see the team and how much we love them and care about them and support them, they're like, man, I don't know where they're from. Some have accents, some don't. I don't care, because these people are all in for my company. So I think your customers, if you're using a VA, again, if they're going to be client facing or they're going to get on a phone call and use some kind of voice over IP system to make calls for your customers, or you get an email in, you and this person build up a relationship. Like I look at my, like I said, my email folder, it has, what are my things? Mine are, there's, I have labels, there's subfolders in my email now, and it's Jonathan with an exclamation point. That means there's something very important in there that I need to deal with, that my assistant has not taken care of for me. Then there's review, and review means she's already taken care of it. She's responded back. Sometimes she responds as me. Sometimes she responds as her, but from my email. We have a little system there. Then there's an action needed. And there's a follow-up there for me. There's a personal, there's a keep for records, which means it's been done, it's taken care of, but like she knows I'm going to want that to be able to go back and look at. And then when it's been dealt with, it's deleted, right? Like it's been taken care of. Don't keep it in my inbox. So you just you gotta get systems in place and know that, what's the difference? And, would you hire someone in Europe that used to live in the US or something and lives over in England now? Like would that, so it's just like, you just got to find the person that's a good fit for you. That's all it comes down to. And at the end of the day, I'm just struggling over the last couple of years with our U.S. staff that we've been hiring. It's frustrating, man.
And it's funny. I have a VA who works with us, and they're overseas. But they came to the U.S. They went to college here. They actually got a job in a sales capacity here, and then they went back to help their family. And they speak perfect English. There's no accent. If I didn't know where they were from, I would think they're in New York. I would think they're in Vermont or Maine or somewhere up north. Would have no clue. And at the end of the day, these people, if they do the job, then what the heck do you care? And what do your clients and your customers care? Because they're being supported, as you said. But one thing that you did raise that I find interesting is talking about processes and systems, which obviously is so important to an efficient operation. What type of tools do you use to help that out? What type of is it ClickUp? Do we use Slack? What do we use to ensure that we have good communication and good systems with our VAs?
I think you use what is going to be best for your business, but something you are going to be committed to using, right? Like don't go out and buy some new software that you're not going to commit yourself to using. Like the worst software on the planet is the software that you buy and you don't use. So, Slack is great. So it's cheap to use. You can set up your different channels. So I encourage business owners, no matter your home service base, what you are, you should have a Slack account and have your team in it anyways. You got all these CRM systems out there that the home service industry uses. They don't have a lot of internal communication features to it. It's more external and, for client record keeping. So Slack, but look, if you have a Google email, you have like your own communication portal inside of your email account. It's called, you've got Spaces and you got Chat. They're both free. So you can set up a chat with your person through your email. You can set up a space, which is the same thing, kind of like Slack. So, don't go out and spend a bunch of money if it's not needed. But I think Slack would be a great one. But at the end of the day, really, the CRM system that the company's using is what this person's going to be in a lot and would be in your email. So you just so if it's just a person that's going to be communicating with you as the business owner and her or him, you could do it really inside of the chat feature or the space inside of your Google email account.
Yeah, and I think the other part of it is looking at your project management software. Whether it's Asana, whether it's ClickUp or whatever the heck you're using. I wouldn't go and change it. I think you know what works for you. You know your process, and you just got to teach whoever you bring on how to use that tool. One thing, though, I think that we do need to talk about a little bit when you're dealing with VAs who maybe are not U.S. based are there any, and Jonathan, you are more than the right person to ask this question, but are there any legal considerations like contracts, NDAs, that business owners should be aware of when working in other countries like the Philippines?
Listen, at the end of the day, I've yet to find an NDA that stuck here in the U.S. So I've had non-competes broken. I've had non-disclosures broken. They really do not even, they're not worth the weight that they come on that paper. So, I think it all comes down to finding the right person. I would strongly suggest using some type of password protected login system. We use one called, what do we use? It is called Bitwarden. So we use Bitwarden. There's another one. What is the other big one out there, Mike?
We use Norton, but
No, I'm talking about so Bitwarden. What it does is you can sync in your say like what is the big CRM system that the remodeling industry uses?
Well, most people are using Build a Trend.
Who?
Build a Trend.
Build a Trend. Okay, so you could load up Build a Trend, your login and password. You could create this VA their own login and password to Build a Trend, but you load it up inside of Bitwarden. You could put your email address and login inside Bitwarden. You can put in anything you want in Bitwarden. And what you do is you assign your new person a login to Bitwarden. And you assign these are the things that he or she can have access to. But then if you ever needed to cut them off or fire them, you remove their access to Bitwarden and they're locked out of everything. So they never actually have your physical passwords to anything. So I would suggest that. I would suggest it for any of my US, employees as well, right? But I think as far as any kind of protection there, you're not going to be able to go after someone in another country. But like I said, we've got NDAs and non-disclosures in place for people. I've broke several, when I used to be an employee, I broke several. And like, you can't go do sales for 100 miles around here. Like, watch me. All right. And then,
But, and we're not talking really about NDA. I'm talking more about, so if I'm going to bring a VA in from the Philippines or from India, Pakistan, Jamaica, Colombia, wherever it might be, there are each country has their own legal requirements for those VAs to be able to work with you. Is there any concerns? I know, with your company, you guys take care of a lot of legal requirements. For example,
great question.
The average person doesn't think about.
Yeah, great question. Yes, I mean, obviously, I think if you went and found your own person, there's a lot of risk there. When we started out in 2014, some of my first hires came from the Philippines. I'd read some articles, and that's just kind of the country I landed in. And one of the articles I read said, go to Craigslist Philippines. Now, it's 2014. There's a lot that's changed since then. You try to go do that now, you're gonna be in trouble and be sorry for it. So, I think you can find websites out there, and or recruiting places. It's like, so we're recruiting and staffing. Like, we're staffing the people in a physical office location if that's what you desire, providing the the internet, the power, the workstation, and everything. But if you find that person, if you found one, you're probably good with, sending them PayPal or however you're going to pay them. Like if that person gets caught, there may be some legal issues on their side. You're not going to get any trouble. With us, if you go through a company like We Build Your Team, obviously we have legitimate businesses set up in those countries, Colombia and the Philippines. So we have HR firms in their country that handle payroll, handle their benefits. That we provide healthcare benefits. They have their bonuses are called the 13th month. Both countries actually have the 13th month. So we provide all of that and make sure that they're paying their taxes and doing everything on the up and up. And then obviously you as the business owner are protected as well.
No, that's really key, no doubt. Another thing when you're dealing with or you're trying to find somebody overseas that I find is the power situation. Is we did at one point, we found some of our own people, and I heard at least once every 3 days, we're going to be a brownout, we're not going to have power for the next 6 hours. And is that true? Honestly, I question that sometimes because it happens so frequently. But that's something to really consider when you are working with someone overseas is, have you provided them some sort of backup power source, some sort of internet connection, so that if they are working out of their home, they're not at the mercy of, whatever happens in their country.
Yeah. So we require in both of the locations, if the agents, if the business owner allows them to either work from home or work a hybrid shift where they're home a couple days, they have to be able to be in proximity to get to the office like 45 minutes or under. So at the office, obviously, we always have backup generators and things like that. So we never have downtime, both power or internet. We have multiple internet backup resources. So yes, the team member, the staff member that is dedicated to you will have to be able to get to a facility to do that within a short period of time.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. So let me ask the one, I think here's one of the big things that you got to really think about if you're a business owner is what are some of the red flags that business owners need to watch out for when hiring a VA? Because that, as helpful as they can be, it can also really be hurtful if you get the wrong person in place or the wrong things happening. What would be those red flags to you?
Again, I think the biggest red flag if you went through an agency like ours, right? Because we're going to make sure that they're properly trained and skilled to be able to do what you need. We're going to give you a couple choices. It would be like if the personality between you and this person, the energy there felt off for any reason. And that may be a red flag that you just may say, like, I just, the way I communicate and they communicate just may not be a good flow. Well, I would fix that immediately. The other big red flag for me would be, how they are turning in work or their task being completed. But what I've found, Mike, is that 99.9% of the time, the disconnect there between a VA or a staff member and the owner is really, there's lack of processes and procedures. If I've yet to find, if you've got the right processes and procedures in place, and this person doesn't follow those to the T and provide the utmost best quality work for you. It really just comes down to, they're like, well, you know how to do X, Y, and Z. I know you've got the skill set to do it. Just go do it, right? Well, like that is the worst way. And it could be a big indicator for how they're actually running their business, and when you're, if you did bring on a VA to help you and you saw that look, we provide it. We'll provide SOPs and things to kind of help guide you or guide this person. You can clean them up to your own, specifications that you want. But I think if you run your business that way and you don't have the right onboarding and training for new team members and exactly how you want them to go out into the field and speak to customers and do this, then this may be a perfect opportunity to reevaluate that. Bring someone to help you buy back your time, so you can elevate you in your business. But when you see this person really like, holy shit, like they're phenomenal, they're amazing, they're helping me so much, then it's like, why doesn't my staff operate that same way? And it could just be not that you have the wrong people, but that you have the wrong processes for those people.
Yeah, absolutely. And and you're sharing a lot of great information here with us. But let me, as we kind of wind down here, let me ask you, what would be the number one piece of advice you have for someone in the kitchen remodeling business looking to hire their first VA?
Clearly define what it is you need. Don't just like, if you're looking for a virtual secretary, that's fine, right? Like literally, there's all these different phone, voice over IP phone systems that people use. So that's so easy that this person can live anywhere in the world, download the app, they can take inbound calls, whatever. But clearly define what it is you need. And I really encourage anyone listening, Mike, and any of your customers, go buy this book or get it on Audible. It's Dan Martell, Buy Back Your Time, because he will walk you through why it's so important, and that the very first hire you should ever have, before you even go hire a worker to go do remodeling for you, you should have an assistant taking care of all these other things for you, because it's the only way you can really truly focus on your business, and stop working, in your business and work on your business. That's great advice.
Jonathan, you have just dropped some real knowledge bombs on us today. And I think that my audience has gotten a ton of value out of what you've been saying. With all that said, if they wanted to get more information, if they wanted to get help placing VAs in their own company and in their own organizations, how would they get a hold of you? How do they find you?
Yeah, so you can go to webuildyourteam.com, and or you can reach out to me, directly, Jonathan at thecsms.com. We're work with contractors, helping them find staff, whether it could be an inside salesperson, a VA for them. But happy to help in any kind of way, anything that any value I can bring, Mike, to you, your audience, your clients, happy to help. We've been in this home service space now for, going on 10 years. my business partner, her and her husband's been in this for over 25 years. So we understand the challenges and the struggles, the day-to-day that these contractors are going through. So we, at our other business, the Home Service in a Box, we're essentially rolling out, putting together a back of house suite for contractors in every niche of home service, because really, if you look at the statistics, almost 90% of all home service companies are under that $2 million, $3 million mark. There's few and far between. They're the 10, 20, 30, $40 million huge companies. And the number one thing that I believe that restricts them from continuing to be able to grow is lack of processes, lack of bringing on the right staff to be able to help them, the right training for those people. So essentially at Home Service in a Box, what we're going to be doing there is helping them with inbound and outbound calls, helping them with the right operation setup, helping them with the right, tools to be able to grow their business. Because if they had a team of people that knew how to do it, it would be able to help elevate them and do what they do best, which is, remodeling, installing air conditions. But I think people lose, you get busy, as a business owner, you get busy and all these things you would love to be able to go and jump on a plane and go meet some of your clients that are, spread across the country. You're so busy working in your business, and it's hard to, and for these contractors, they should be out there shaking hands with these customers, bringing them a custom gift box, thanking them for, trusting you to remodel their kitchen. And, hey, can you have any neighbors around here that would appreciate this? Let me call Mary and Jane. They'll come up with their coffee cups and come look what, this company just did for me. If you spent more time doing that, you would be really surprised at, how your business would grow. People like you and I, we have our marketing agencies. Our job is to provide leads, but, we're not just looking to be a lead generation company. We're trying to find ways for our clients to be able to continue to grow their business. So referrals and, that branded search are what's going to be most impactful, making sure that your clients have a strong brand and making sure that they're getting referrals. And if you could find a way to help buy back some of your clients' time so they can go out there and shake hands and kiss babies' heads of their customers, that's going to help them, right? So it's like, we can't just say, let's keep bringing leads into people. Like, you don't want to be a lead fed business your whole entire life. You want, as you need leads coming in, you got to be getting your brand and your customer loyalty going up at the same time. And eventually you want them kind of like this, to say like, all right, if we want to keep growing, great. We're going to keep growing our loyalty and our customer base, our branding. And then if we want to keep growing, well, we're going to need some new customers. So we'll have to get more leads in. But you don't want to be just leads all the time. That's not the way you want your business to be.
It's a balancing act for sure.
Yeah.
And that's what all business comes down to, I think. But, Jonathan, again, we're kind of right up against the time here. And I really do appreciate you coming on and sharing all of these insights with us. Guys, if you are looking to get a VA, if you're looking to at least figure out what is that next step, how do you make yourself more efficient? We Build Your Team. What an outstanding company. They're a great resource. Jonathan Bannister, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Mike.
So this is Mike Goldstein for John Bannister. This was the Crushing It with Kitchen Remodeling podcast. Look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.
Thanks. Appreciate it.